Today is Thursday, August 3rd. What to know about former President Trump's court appearance today, and what potentially bogus call had hundreds of Capitol Police scouring Senate office buildings. Also, the extreme heat continues, what country is now on lockdown because of it, and how the hot weather is impacting gas prices here in the U.S. Plus, when the IRS wants everyone to file their taxes online only. Why there's a job making over $200 an hour to play a game all day. And what's happening with destination weddings these days. Those stories and more news to know coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Today, former President Trump is returning to the nation's capital, not as president, but as a criminal defendant. Trump is set to appear in court over his actions in the lead-up to the January 6th riot. Actions that prosecutors say were criminal. Remember, Trump was indicted on federal charges that accuse him of plotting to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Though some critics argue they were actions and words protected by free speech. Trump himself is expected to plead not guilty today, and he's also going to have his fingerprints taken. He's been accusing prosecutors of going after him for political reasons. He wrote on social media that the unprecedented indictment shows the corruption scandal and failure of the U.S. under President Biden. Security has been ramped up in Washington, D.C. for today's hearing. Capitol Police and other law enforcement agencies say they have a specific security plan in place, but they haven't gone into details. It's not clear if protesters are planning anything specific. The Washington Post says there's been some talk online of people calling for a civil war and the need for an armed revolution. But of course, that could be hyperbole. When former President Trump has appeared in court for other cases recently, police officers and news crews have outnumbered protesters. Today's appearance is set for 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Already this week, Capitol Police have faced a security scare. A 911 call yesterday warned of a possible active shooter in Senate office buildings. So authorities say they responded in seconds. They ordered a lockdown, telling people to shelter in place as hundreds of officers searched 3 buildings floor by floor. Some staffers had to evacuate, and tourists could see them running outside and away from buildings with their hands up. But in the end, officers found nothing. No one was hurt, and no one else even reported hearing shots. So the Capitol Police chief says the 911 call may have been bogus. With that, everyone was allowed to return to work. The gunman behind the deadliest anti-Semitic attack in American history was just sentenced to death. A jury handed down the sentence for the man who killed 11 people at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh back in 2018. The shooter was already convicted of 63 federal counts, including hate crimes, and the death penalty was on the table because the jury decided he meant to kill, that a lot of planning went into the attack, and that he specifically targeted the most vulnerable people. Dozens of people connected to victims of the attack gathered at a Jewish community center yesterday to talk about their reactions to the trial, verdict, and sentence. Many thanked the jury, prosecutors, and other people involved in the trial, saying a measure of justice has been served. Unprecedented heat waves are now impacting people in several countries around the world. In Iran, it's so bad that the country imposed a nationwide lockdown. So government offices, banks, and schools are closed, and all medical centers are on alert to treat people suffering from heat exhaustion. In recent days, many Iranian cities have been dealing with temperatures that have topped 120. Meanwhile, Egypt has been cutting the power at least once a day during a recent heat wave because there's not enough energy to power the grid. And Europe is also experiencing some of the hottest temperatures of the summer so far, especially in Mediterranean countries. Yet another heat wave there is expected to push temps closer to record-breaking levels in the coming days. And of course, there's also the U.S. Heat alerts are still in effect from Texas to Alabama and up into Kansas City. In cities like Dallas and Austin, Texas, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Little Rock, Arkansas, it could feel like 115 degrees through at least this weekend. Then the heat is expected to come back to western states like California and Arizona. The heat wave in the American South is now starting to drive up gas prices for the whole country. It's because the high temperatures in Texas and Louisiana are slowing down oil refineries, since refineries just don't function as efficiently in triple-digit heat. With that, the nationwide average for a gallon of unleaded has reached $3.80. That's nearly 30 cents higher than just a month ago, and the highest level so far this year. Prices could keep going up too as the heat wave continues, along with summer travel season. All that said, prices are still nowhere near as high as they were last summer when they got up to $5 a gallon on average. Next, analysts expect gas prices to ease up by October, unless hurricane season leads to more hikes. By the way, did you know that heat exposure has been more deadly in the U.S. than any other weather-related events over the last 3 decades? We'll be talking all about heat, its impact, and what we can actually do about it with a leading researcher coming up on this Saturday's special edition episode. We have much more news for you today coming up, but first, this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. It is sometimes crazy to me how much conflicting information there is out there, from parenting advice to food and health advice, the list goes on. Maybe it's because I research a lot and gather so much data about pretty much everything, but sometimes all that noise can make me question my own decisions. Ever feel that? Well, therapy has helped me to trust myself and prioritize the things that actually matter to me, even in those moments of doubt, so I can move forward with confidence and excitement in all that I do. If you are thinking about starting therapy, BetterHelp is a great option that is entirely online. It is designed to be convenient, flexible, and fit your schedule. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and then you can talk with that therapist however you feel most comfortable, messaging, phone, or video. And you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/newsworthy today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, betterhelp.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to the news. The IRS is looking to go paperless. The Federal Tax Collection Agency announced plans this week to let Americans submit all kinds of correspondence, major tax and non-tax forms online starting next tax season. And the goal is for everyone to file returns digitally by the 2025 season. The agency says this will make things more efficient, accurate, and help Americans get their tax refunds sooner. Plus, it should save up to 200 million pieces of paper a year. The IRS says it will also digitize its billions of historical documents, which could apparently save it about $40 million a year in storage costs. This is all happening because of funding the IRS received from the Inflation Reduction Act, the largest funding influx for the IRS in generations. For only the second time in history, America's credit rating has taken a hit. This week, Fitch Ratings downgraded the U.S. from the ultimate AAA to the next level down, a AA+. And that basically means the U.S. still has a very low level of default risk instead of the lowest default risk. The ratings agency gave its reasoning, saying rising debt levels and a polarized political culture are making the U.S. a less dependable payer of debts. Now, the only countries that still get top marks from all 3 credit rating firms are Australia, Germany, Singapore, and Switzerland. To be clear, the rating is largely symbolic. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen called the change arbitrary and assured everyone that, quote, the American economy is fundamentally strong. Still, the Wall Street Journal says the ratings downgrade triggered a sell-off on the stock market. The Dow Jones, S&P 500, and NASDAQ all ended the day lower yesterday. Americans still seem to have a strong appetite for food delivery. The biggest food delivery app in the U.S., DoorDash, reported a record number of orders over the last few months, meaning even more food orders are coming in now than at the height of the pandemic, when there was more concern over in-person dining and lower prices at restaurants. The company's CFO says business is thriving because, quote, this is a small treat that still delights people. But of course, customers now have a lot of options when it comes to ordering takeout or groceries. Even more now, since this week, Amazon started letting non-Prime members order grocery deliveries from its fresh stores and warehouses. For now, that's only the case in about a dozen U.S. cities like Boston, Dallas, Denver, and San Francisco. But as Bloomberg reports, Amazon plans on rolling fresh deliveries out to non-Prime members everywhere by the end of this year. Bloomberg also says Amazon will eventually allow all people to get deliveries from Whole Foods and other third-party grocers, too. How's this for a dream job? Mattel says it's hiring a chief Uno officer to promote its new Uno Quattro game. And it's sticking with the Quattro theme. The person who gets hired will work 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, across a 4-week period. They'll make $4,444.44 per week. And to do that quick math, it means the person will make $277 an hour. The main point of the job, they'll have to play Uno Quattro with strangers in New York City. It's a variation on the original card game that involves trying to match 4 in a row using plastic tiles on a grid. The person will also have to star in live streams and play with influencers. So it makes sense that if you want to apply, you have to do so on TikTok. Record yourself answering 4 questions, follow Uno's TikTok account, and tag them in your application. Candidates have until next week to apply. Football fans, the wait is over. The NFL preseason officially kicks off with the Hall of Fame game tonight. It pits the Cleveland Browns against the New York Jets. Kickoff is set for 8 p.m. Eastern, and you can watch on NBC or Peacock. Of course, this also marks the official beginning to Hall of Fame weekend in Canton, Ohio. Over the weekend, there will be a parade, concerts, and an induction ceremony for the 2023 Hall of Fame class. This year, Super Bowl champions like Darrelle Revis, DeMarcus Ware, and Rondé Barber will be enshrined into the hallowed halls, along with 6 other football greats. Well, that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. But first, this episode is brought to you by ZocDoc. Have you ever been on the hunt for a new doctor and you basically ask everyone you know for their recommendation? You are determined to find a doctor who actually listens to you, makes you feel comfortable, and knows what they're actually talking about. Then you finally think you found the one, only to call the office and learn this perfect doctor does not take your insurance. Cue the frustration. This is not how I like to spend my time and energy. Instead, head over to ZocDoc to find and book the doctor who is right for you and takes your insurance. Yes, ZocDoc is a free app where you can find amazing doctors and book appointments online. We're talking about booking appointments with thousands of top-rated, patient-reviewed doctors and specialists. You can filter specifically for ones who take your insurance, are located near you, and treat almost any condition you're searching for. I check ZocDoc whenever I'm looking for a new doctor or specialist, and it's easy to do. Go to ZocDoc.com/newsworthy and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. Now back to Thing to Know Thursday. If you haven't gotten your invitation to a destination wedding yet, you might soon. The out-of-town wedding trend is booming right now to a $28.3 billion business. And the Destination Wedding Global Market Report says it's expected to grow to nearly $79 billion by 2027. The wedding website Zola tells Axios there's a few things driving this trend. For starters, couples are getting married later in life than in the past, making it more likely they've spent time traveling together. So there are places that feel special to couples that aren't just in their hometowns. Plus, even if you live far away, it's never been easier to book vendors remotely. Wedding planning website The Knot says Mexico is the most popular international wedding destination this year, followed by countries in Europe, islands in the Caribbean, and Costa Rica. But no matter where you go, The Knot says the average cost of a destination wedding tends to be more expensive than a hometown one, even when the guest lists are smaller. For the couple, the average spend on a destination celebration is nearly $36,000, and guests tend to spend between $600 and $1,300 to attend, depending on if they fly or drive. So it might be a good idea to start saving up for weddings, whether you're the one getting married or not. All right, thank you so much for listening and making us part of your day. And thank you to our Newsworthy insiders, those of you who buy and wear our merch, leave positive reviews, and or share the show with others. We are so grateful for all of it and for you. We'll catch you up on more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.